Sandeep, I want to come back to you. I also want to quickly introduce in this conversation Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs Editor. Geeta, with what we are looking at in terms of the kind of statements that are coming in from the Secretary of War of America, there seems to be an exit strategy now being planned, is what Sandeep and I were discussing. But Sandeep, with what mine also added, that while the talks could, suggest de-escalation soon, but usually, for someone who's followed war in crisis such as this, it's that final last hours are always way more intense than what it usually, is earlier. So it corroborates with what also mine says, that it's getting really hot right now.
Right, absolutely. And, what Iran is doing is that it wants to negotiate from a position of strength. And they have expanded the theater of conflict, across West Asia. 2,500 kilometer sweep of territory from Cyprus to Oman is what they have targeted. It's unprecedented. It's never happened in the history of warfare that one country has targeted 10 other countries near simultaneously with waves of drones and missiles, right? And Iran has made a very big point there that they're not going to be cowed down by the assassination of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. And now they are ready for talks, but they will talk from a position of strength. And they are not going to kowtow or bend or bow in a way that the United States would have wanted them to surrender some of their, missile capabilities of the kind that you're seeing on the screen now. Those Shahed 136s, the ballistic missiles, all of these programs, Iran has created this triad of weapon systems, drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. Is something that Iran has created because it has no air force, it has no navy. So now the talks, I believe, given this wave of attacks, the fact is that Iran has proved its point. It has the capability to inflict punishment across a very large swath of territory.
Iran's not backing down, because if you remember, twice over, you've had President Trump, who's tried to insinuate that the Iranian leadership is trying to seek dialogue, and Iran has refuted that both times over. I want to quickly introduce Geeta Mohan before we cut across to the latest that's coming in. Geeta, you just heard the Secretary of War, where America is concerned. The kind of statements he's made it very clear that this is not an endless war. We're not looking like in Iraq, because there's a fair amount of pressure back home as well. There are economic compulsions to this, and also seeming to suggest that most of their targets, have been met, and to say that there is, a regime change. So by taking out the Supreme Leader, that they have effected a regime change, which wasn't what they started with. Is it an exit route strategy now?
Well, I do think it's an exit route, because I do not think they anticipated what's happening in West Asia, what they call the Middle East, and the kind of attacks that Iran has managed to succeed in. Despite the defense systems that most of the countries have, which are all provided by the United States of America, the breaches are massive, they're severe, and they really have taken on what Iran has taken on what is unprecedented. Like Sandeep and I were talking about it earlier, and we were talking about it earlier in our edit meet as well, that one single country opening up a 12-front war, unimaginable, but also the fact that there's immense pressure on Donald Trump right now, with assessment that there are Americans in the Middle East who are stuck and stranded. They're civilians. A loss of life when it comes to forces and personnel is one thing, but if he loses civilians in the war, then it'll cost him
all of this is also
midterm
bolstered.
Elections.
Yes, and all of this is also bolstered by the sheer fact that other Gulf countries now are a pressure point on President Trump to pull back, because the kind of sustained attack they are coming under.
Absolutely, Preeti. I don't think any of these Arab states were ready for this. Forget about Arab states, the people. This has always been known as the peace zone, or a very peaceful place, prosperous, money, you want to go have fun, have a holiday, that's the place you'd go to. And suddenly they just don't know what's hitting.
So basically, with what Sandeep just added and Geeta, two in-house experts, it seems that America and Israel, at least with how things are panning out right now, has bitten off possibly a little more than it could chew. And now is looking at, and we're just going by the statement of the Secretary of War that we just heard, a possible exit strategy in all of this, suggesting that we have attained, our target, and this is not an endless war, while Iran continues to retaliate. Geeta was in Iran a few days ago, and actually just touched down when the entire crisis started to unfold. But what now? And Sandeep and Geeta, both of you can quickly come in on this, because it seem to the taking out of a supreme leader a very simplistic, brutal answer to a very, very complex problem. And by taking out the supreme leader didn't quite mean that you effected a regime change. There is already somebody in place. So who next after Khamenei? Well, 88-member panel assembly of experts are already in place to choose a supreme leader. We're going to play out all those graphics there, and you can, read it out while I'm going to get Geeta to come in and explain for our viewers. Geeta, who next? Because you have someone who has already taken over, who is, can say more conservative, more fanatical than Ali Khamenei himself. And then you have his son, who possibly is being bloodied into taking over.
Well, Mojtaba Khamenei might not be the supreme leader. There's an entire council, and that council will look at who the next leader is going to be, because we do know that the supreme leader is the prime target of Israel, no matter who that person is going to be. So if Mojtaba is made the supreme leader, he will be the next target for Israel. I suppose after Khamenei's family, the daughter, son-in-law, grandchild, all being killed, doesn't seem like, Mojtaba Khamenei would be put to risk, his life would be put to risk. But then you have Arafi. Arafi is a very important person. He is part of the 3-member council that
he's already the interim
that has been created. And he, in all probability, could stay on. We'll have to wait and see, because if this war turns out to be one where they go back to the negotiating table in peace talks, then they might look at Mojtaba yet again. But if not, then it's a different scenario altogether. Lack of time. So I just wanted you to wanted to say one thing, that after Khamenei's death, there are throngs of people in the streets of Iran. Did America factor that in? Because now if they're looking at a strike and they don't want to kill people, because then people will turn against America and Israel, they have no option.
And also to then suggest that the onus lies on the streets, for a resistance to throw
just
over.
Come take over.
Yeah, it doesn't quite happen like that, because we did see after the supreme leader was taken out, there might have been celebrations, but there was also deep mourning, and people did come out, in support as well. So we are giving you the options there. Geeta spoke about 2. Let me quickly take you through the others. Ayatollah Ghulam Hussein Mohseni, head of Iran's judicial, long-standing hardline cleric, enjoys strong institutional support, could be an option. Mohammad Mehdi, ultra-hardline clerical voice, member of Assembly of Experts, known for his worldview, critical of the West, heads Islamic Sciences Academy of Qom. Hassan Khamenei, grandson of Ruhollah Khamenei, seen as more moderate. Acceptance is uncertain, though. So, Geeta, whatever the scenario, there are multifaceted layers for somebody to easily come and take over that position. So, what we are looking at is definitely not a regime flip.
They said the end goal is regime change. Sandeep and I have been discussing this for the past 48 hours. This is not regime change, taking one Khamenei out, because they have 4 rungs ready, prepared to take over. One gets killed, the other comes. And we've been seeing it for some time now, that Israelis have been assassinating, and they've just been replacing and replacing. And they're not replacing them with some young officer. They still have the older lot.
Yeah,
and
there is a clear line of succession.
Very strong older. Wahidi, who's taken over as the IRGC chief, is a very, very old hand and has been a part of the intelligence agency, the army, for the longest.
So, Geeta, would you stay with that thought?